Yo, what's happening everybody? King GBL here and welcome back to a brand new Go Battle League video. Today we're going to be showcasing a really strong team here for the Spring Cup. I'm featuring here Walrein in the lead, which is an amazing lead. And just a really quick note on these early battles here. I'm actually showing these battles from yesterday. I was running a few different Pokemon. What I sort of decided yesterday is that Whiscash might be a good lead, because if you remember back to the Mountain Cup, after about the 3rd or 4th day, I was actually on Go Battle Day, so it would have been the 3rd day. On the Saturday, tons of people just started using Mawels just to kind of counter all of the grass types that were running wild. And well, that's basically what I was trying to anticipate here. First game on, I got a triple grass team. So I'm like, right, okay, people are still running grass. If you checked out yesterday's video, I was running Lantern and I must have run into like 15 grass types in the lead out of 25 games. So I'm like, right, you know what, it's Mawel time. I run Mawel for 2 games. First game I got, well, I actually got a Lantern and a Mantine lead with Mawel. And of course I had a Sunny Cherrim in the back with my double grass backline. So it was just going super badly here at the very start. And then what I ended up deciding to do was, as you can see here in this matchup right here, I've got a Fairy Wind user on my shift tree because I wanted to sort of counter Trevenant. And of course that did not go too well. Of course it knows Aerial Ace. It should know Acrobatics, but this opponent was not using it here. And then I started trying to use Roserade and Lurantis. I got Tentacruel 2 games in a row with Roserade and Lurantis. Literally, I was just getting the exact hard counter to my team every single team I run. I run a further 2 matches with Lurantis afterwards because I do sort of want to showcase that Pokemon. I think with Superpower and Leaf Blade, it is a very strong pick, and of course it has Fury Cutter as a fast move, which can hit a lot of the grass types. So yeah, it just wasn't going well, folks, and I wanted to show these at the start, just to kind of show you that, like, you know, this is an amazing team. It went 80%, but I was 0-7 going into this, and I really needed to use a strong team, and that's exactly why I landed on this one. Walrein, it just doesn't really have that many hard counters. Like, you see this matchup right here with Trevenant. We can live a Seed Bomb, they cannot live an Icicle Spear, so you can always get like shield advantage at the very least, if you want to let the Walrein go down. And as you can see in this matchup with Ferrothorn, 1 Earthquake and 1 Icicle Spear plus the Powder Snows will basically take it out. So Walrein is just super good. Even against Lantern, you can go for the Earthquake, and that will do probably like 75-80% damage, something like that. You can, if as a Lantern, you can live it. And with the spark damage and a Thunderbolt, you can just about take out the Walrein, but it's not very comfortable at the very least. And you know, you've got Trevenant, which is basically the best safe swap. You can hit neutral Seed Bombs and Shadow Balls on the flying types. Against opposing Trevenants, of course, it does, you know, obviously 50-50. It beats Ferrothorn. Of course, it'll destroy any Lanterns and Mudboys that are floating around. It doesn't have a great match against Abomasnow, but you can at least get off a Shadow Ball and do a ton of damage on that thing. And then you've got things like Galarian Weezing, which of course you'll be able to just basically one-shot with a Shadow Ball, and things like Mawel, which of course you will almost, Shadow Mawel you will one-shot with a Shadow Ball, and normal Mawel, they can just about live it, but it's not very comfortable for them. Like, a Shadow Ball plus a couple of Shadow Claws will take it out. So Trevenant is just an amazing safe swap for this league. And of course we have Lantern, does not really need a huge introduction. You've seen it in the Great League probably 100 times during the Open Great League this season, and last season of course, the Noctowl and Lantern core. Lantern is really good in this cup though. I have noticed that there are like a few sort of flying types floating around and a few water types. It does really well against Weezing, it does really well against Pelipper, Araquanid, Mantine, Mawel, Tentacruel. This is just a really good Pokemon to have, and I generally have a lot of success using Lantern in this cup. Anyway guys, that's the introduction out of the way. Let me know if you appreciate me being honest and like showing the really bad losses at the start. It's really easy for me just to showcase all these wins and just try to pretend like everything's amazing. But this team actually was amazing, but I did want to show that to you at the start, just to kind of show you, like, I was having a very rough time. I was 0-7, and I needed to use a good team like this to kind of build back on my elo. I was down into like almost the very low 2100s after the first sort of games, and actually what ended up happening here was I disconnected from 2 matches. So I went 12 out of 15 in the other 2 matches, so I went 0-7. In the other couple of matches, I disconnected, and in 3 of the losses that I had out of the 12 and 15, I misplayed 2 of them at the very least. I like really misplayed one of them where a Pelipper came in and I should have Shadow Balled it, and that would have left me able to take it out with Lantern, but I ended up trying to build up to back-to-back, and they just Weller Balled me out, so extremely bad misplays. And there was one match where the opponent, they swapped into a Jellicent, and I would have been able to get off the Thunderbolt, but I ended up throwing the Surf, so a couple of really bad misplays by me. So it really just goes to show that I probably could have won at least 14 out of 15 with this. I might have even went 16 out of 17 with this team. Like, it is a really strong team, and I had a ton of success and good fun with it. Anyway guys, that's a pretty long intro and a pretty nice explanation for this team, I hope. If you're still at this point in the video, go on ahead and subscribe. We're basically family at this point. If you're watching me for 5 minutes, we're basically family. Like, you might as well just join us here, and you can join the Discord, which is in the description down below. I'll be running some practice battles here in the next couple of hours, so if you want to battle against me and, you know, try to beat me, because, you know, I'm obviously the best at 2200 out there, definitely join up the Discord, and thank you everybody for all the support. I do want to mention as well, if you're interested in becoming a member, that is available on the channel, hit the join button down below, and there are some like perks and benefits from doing that as well. So hopping into this matchup here, so Tentacruel is pretty good for this team. You can land an Earthquake, which will do a ton of damage, and they're most likely going to start firing off ice or acid spray, sorry. I like to go for the bait actually sometimes. It's a little bit risky, but I do like going for it. The opponent will shield up here, and that just puts us in a dominant position here. I don't really have to shield anything, but I do decide to do it, and the game freezes. So that's one of the disconnects. I think I was definitely in the driver's seat on that one. I just wanted to make sure I was getting off the Earthquake, that's why I went for the shield, but unlucky I suppose, GG's. Hopping into this next one, we've got a really interesting lead. We've got Gardevoir with Confusion. So I'm like, right, this is pretty much like, you know, super effective for Trevenant, and it's neutral for everything else. So like I can just basically threaten a shield here, and I'm just gonna go straight into my hard swap here. I shielded up what I thought could be a potential Shadow Ball. I'm not sure what the Confusion like energy generation is, and in comes a Mawile. You definitely want to draw this thing out, and as I said earlier, they cannot live these Shadow Balls very comfortably. They don't even get off a move. They do chunk us down a decent amount, and we're going to see probably what they have in the back here. They're not going to want to come in with Gardevoir. They come in with Abomasnow, and can we just about reach this? We just about can. But this Abomasnow is pretty scary. It knows Razor Leaf. The opponent's going for like a fast move pressure team. We just come in with Walrein, and look at this. It's just absolutely chunking through my Walrein. I need to get off, you know, multiple moves on this thing, because the Lantern does not want to see this. The opponent throws a move here, and I think this actually gives me a chance. Can I actually get off another Icicle Spear? The opponent swaps out, and it's like, oof. Okay, you've really given me a chance now. I can just come in here, just go for the full farm down on this thing. The opponent, they did throw a move, so like that really does give me a chance. Synchronized done a ton of damage. I was basically planning on going back to back and, you know, throwing one on the Gardevoir and one on the Abomasnow, but I was able to just get the full farm down there, and GG's to the opponent. So the opponent actually just not fully farming down and give me a chance to win that match, which is beautiful, because of course if they got that on the Lantern and started Razor Leafing the life out of it, it was probably going to be rough, and with Gardevoir just does a ton of damage as well, so GG's right there. And in comes the Jellicent lead, so we swap straight into our Trevenant, of course Lantern being our harder swap. The opponent farms up a little bit, and I make a bit of a mistake here. If you're against like one of these Glassy Pokemons, just go Seed Bomb. It's kind of like, treat this like it's Trevenant versus Trevenant basically, where it's like, there's no point going for the Shadow Ball because the opponent's so glassy. We should have just went straight Seed Bomb, but that's absolutely fine. I should be able to either get shield advantage or switch here. We'll see what I decide to do. I do decide to let it go down, because I can just come in and farm it all up with my Walrein 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so they don't reach a move. I wouldn't have shielded the Fireweller Ball there, but it would have done a decent amount of damage. And in comes Farthorn. So I might have misplayed this match a couple of times in this video, but you should go Earthquake and then Icicle Spear. They very seldomly shield up the first one. They may, you know, shield up the second one because they know the Earthquake will take out. So I would recommend just going for that straight away. Go for your Earthquake off the rip. The opponents never really expect the Walrein to Earthquake, and as you can see, they swap out, we swap out, and this is looking pretty straightforward. They will need like 2 Shadow Balls to take us out, but they're bubble beaming here. I guess they haven't received the information yet that this thing can learn Surf. I guess that maybe Bubble Beam's better for this meta, but I think overall Jellicent is better with Surf. Let me know, guys, are you a pink Jellicent or a blue Jellicent user? We can just, we don't even need to like farm it down. The opponent's so low in health here, we can just basically spark it out. And I knew that, so I wasn't taking any risks of eating another Shadow Ball and just messing around, you know. If you're keeping good track of energy, you don't have to like overfarm and stuff like that. But hopping into this next battle right here, Walrein versus Mawile. So you're going to see an interesting matchup right here. I play this like a certain way, but I'm not sure if it's the correct way. You can either go for the bait off the rip, or you can just go for like back-to-back Earthquakes, I'm pretty sure. So I let the first one go here, and we're going to go for the Icicle Spear bait. Sometimes I'll shield up the first one and then go for like back-to-back Earthquakes. I'm not sure like what is the most optimal way to play it, and at this point I believe that I can eat a Power-Up Punch, so I decide to let it go. I just about do. I've got a very highly ranked Walrein, so if you don't have good IVs you won't be able to do that. So as you can see in this match, we're able to get 2 shields, and we're just going to come in here and just spark the absolute life out of this thing. Most likely it's running Iron Head, which of course would give coverage for Weezing, and that does nothing to the water types. So we're just going to go ahead and Fire Surf here. We're not going to let it get us too low, because these Firefangs do add up after a while. In comes Trevenant, we've got a 2 shield advantage here. The opponent can throw any move, doesn't matter. I'm going to shield up a Seed Bomb here anyway. The opponent's using Foul Play, you absolute mad lad. In comes a Bruxish, which, you know, I was actually saying to Jamie that I was going to use this today. I'm so glad I didn't. I was running it in practice battles and it's just so glassy. We'll farm up to the Shadow Ball, and that's going to be a good one. GG's. So the opponent's using a nice spicy pick. We're seeing a few spicy Pokemon here today, which is nice, and we ended up going 3-2 in that set. I think one of the battles that I lost, I'm not sure if I mentioned it already at the start of the video because I re-recorded the intro to this video. I was against a Pelipper, and I had a Trevenant and a Lantern. My Lantern was really low health, I think, but I tried to farm up to back-to-back Seed Bombs. So one of the losses in this that I probably cut out was me just making an absolute mess of a Pelipper matchup. I could have Shadow Balled it and, you know, pretty much taken it out, but I was just playing stupidly. In comes Trevenant. So we're going to see this matchup here. I decide to overfarm this time because I know that I'll lose CMP. I decide to shield up the first one here. I'm going to fire off an Icicle Spear, and the opponent is forced to shield this. It will take out from this range. So what I sort of meant to say earlier with the Trevenant, like, by the time you get a few Powder Snows for it will one-shot. I'm not sure if I could live a Seed Bomb at this range. I need to really look up sims on this, but I know this is generally positive for this thing. I might decide to hard swap into mine, and the opponent has another Bruxish. So weird that I'm seeing Confusion users all of a sudden. We just one-shot it. In comes a Galarian Weezing. Now, can we live a Brutal Swing? As you can see, we've got terrible IVs. We do just about live a Brutal Swing. I could have probably got off the Shadow Ball right here, so this was a bit of a mistake by me. But yeah, maybe I wouldn't have got it off. Looking at it there, I think it was one off, and I probably wouldn't have got it through. So maybe it was just better going for the Seed Bomb there. The opponent can Brutal Swing all alike here. Actually, Overheat, funny enough, does more damage in that match, so fun fact. If you're trying to get off the most damage possible, go for Overheat versus Lantern, but we're going to farm down here with the Walrein, and one Icicle Spear will take this thing out. One Overheat will not take out the Walrein. It probably does about 40%, and the Brutal Swing actually does a decent amount of damage there. And we're going to fire off this Icicle Spear, which will take it out. Maybe an Overheat would have took out, but I think we're fine there. I do believe I would have just about survived it though. Yeah, so hopping into the next one here, we're having some very good games here so far, and I'm definitely super happy with how this team performed. Let's see if we can keep this going here. So it's Abomasnow. This is an awkward lead for sure because it's good against Trevenant and Lantern, and it's not like amazing against this. I decide to be a little bit patient and at least build up to 6, because they do sometimes go for the catch. The opponents put themselves in a rough spot here. They go for the Shadow Ball, and I'm trying to sort of overfarm a little bit. They will just about survive this. Jellicent is bulky, but we can farm it down and get at least like a Surf off on the Abomasnow, which will make it a little bit more comfortable. The only sort of rough thing is here, they can probably just commit to a farm down at this point, but we will be able to get off multiple Surfs, and I think the opponent realises that, especially with the Shadow Abomasnow. These two add up a decent amount, and that puts us in a much better position here with Walrein. We can go for the back-to-back Icicle Spears, one of which would basically take it out. Now, I might shield this one up because it might be the Energy Ball. They do go for the Weather Ball. I wasn't actually counting while watching, but I did think that was the Energy Ball. They shield up again, so I'm like, right, okay, you just really want to keep this alive. And I should have predicted this, bro. They done it once, so they're of course going to do it twice. But it shouldn't really matter too much here. We've got a shield advantage, and all we really need to do is just build up to a Shadow Ball and a Seed Bomb, and that'll be absolutely fine. We don't even need to fully build up, to be honest, because we've got a shield. So we can basically just eat that Surf. I'll fire off this the Seed Bomb right here. There's not really a whole lot the opponent can do. We actually don't even take it out. Even though I've got like mad attack stats on this thing, that Seed Bomb still doesn't take out, but we get off the Shadow Ball and that's a GG. So next matchup right here, we've got a Walrein versus Walrein. Here's how I like to play this match. I like to shield up the first move, because usually you would just go straight for the Earthquake. You know, so like baiting the first one, it's not really necessary, and then go for the Icicle Spear bait and see what the opponent wants to do. If the opponent does shield it, you're kind of like, oops, you know, oof. You can like, honestly, like low-key just swap into Trevenant at that point. In the 1-to-1 shield, I think Trevenant would probably win that there. We do go for the Earthquake this time, and I know that I can eat an Earthquake. So at this point, I can just go for an Earthquake and take it out, or I could even just like hard swap into Lantern at this point. I know that this can only be an Icicle Spear, so the opponent's trying to get off as much damage as possible here. We're overfarming just a little bit here. I probably could overfarmed a little bit more, because these Powder Snows don't really do anything. And yeah, we've taken the first matchup right there. In comes Tentacruel, in comes Lantern. The opponent's like, I want to see this. Definitely if you're running Tentacruel, go for Sludge Bomb. Is it Sludge Bomb or Sludge Wave? I can't remember. I'm expecting a catch here, so nice patience. Definitely started playing a little bit better here today, because of course they don't want to stay in there. I CMP them on this, and I think they're up to a flash cannon. A flash cannon does about 80% to a Trevenant, that's probably with good IVs. So I decided to shield it up because it'll probably just about leave me on like 5 to 10 health. I do want to take this thing out if possible. This shouldn't be a flash cannon anymore. Yeah, it's just the power whip. So I can even load up a little bit more here if I want to. And yeah, I throw after a little while, get off a shadow ball. Just the cohesion with this team is working really well. And back in comes Tentacruel. I can get a little bit of chip damage on this thing, but you know, it's not even necessary at this point. Lantern can just come in, go for the Thunderbolt, and that will be good night, sweet dreams to Tentacruel. Definitely started seeing more Tentacruels today here, and yesterday, of course, like I said, you know, when I was running the Lurantis, I just kept getting Tentacruels stuck on it, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, but... Or even if I was running that Roserade, you know, kept getting Tentacruel on it. But it's sort of funny, like, from watching some higher elo games, Tentacruel seems to be everywhere. This is an interesting match right here. Of course, Overheat does a lot of damage, but generally this is win for Walrein. So I'm happy to eat whatever they throw here. The opponent most likely will go for Overheat, and actually, you know, looking at that Overheat will have took out last time, so that's actually kind of hilarious. So that just goes to show you there. We can shield up, okay, they're using Thunder. I think I miscounted this actually. I remember thinking, did they even build up to 6 for the flash cannon? But they threw off a Thunder anyway. That's absolutely fine. We can go for a Shadow Ball, and we'll basically be able to let this next move go. So like, if we wanted to take switch here, we might have, I guess we would have lived 2 Thunders, so a pretty bad shield there, to be honest. We can come out here with loaded energy though, which will threaten a lot on the Wheezing. Is the opponent going to expect the bait? They do call the bait, and we decided just to, you know, full send that. I've started full sending stuff more recently because people do be calling baits out here. Like, these 2100s are playing like absolute mad lads, calling baits and everything. So this is a very good matchup for us here. We're going to throw this straight away. I throw in bad timing straight away just to force this shield immediately before they even reach the move. You know, you're supposed to farm up to 7, but I just wanted to force that shield straight away because this just puts them in a really rough spot. I'm throwing again straight away. It was actually good timing that time, I think, so you know, that works out, but that's kind of the way I was thinking about it there. Just force the shield straight away. Don't let them get off the move first and then dip or anything. Just, you know, straight up get the shield off them. In comes Bruxish, and yeah, you know, you're not going to have a good time here, pal. You can Psychic Fangs or Crunch me all you like. The Psychic Fangs are quite annoying. I decided to overfarm a little bit here as well, and it'll leave me a little bit of energy on the other side to potentially get off a move here. The opponent comes in with Trevenant, and we'll get off a Thunderbolt, which will do a nice little chip into this thing, and just put it, you know, pretty much like, you know, into like Shadow Claw and Seed Bomb range. I make a bit of a misplay here, watch this guys. So I've got 2 Pokemon versus this Trevenant. The opponent's got loaded energy, so I need to come in here and swap out. I honestly, guys, I just lost discipline in this match because it felt like it's a foregone conclusion. I completely messed this match up, guys, to be completely honest. I needed to come in, like, get a little bit of a farm on one of them, force them to throw in the other one, you know, that sort of way. Like, so that could have made a 5-0, that was definitely a misplay by me. So it just goes to show there. If you ever do get in that situation and you've got 2 Pokemon that can sort of take a Trevenant, but they've got loaded energy, you need to come in with one and make sure your counts are on point with that thing, because it can really punish you. We're going to build up here and build up to 7 for off the Icicle Spear. As you know, the Icicle Spear and Earthquake takes it out, and we do actually just swap out into Trevenant here, because either way, like, we can eat a move off this thing. This could be a Flash Cannon. No, okay, so they go for the Power Whip bait. I decided to go for a Shadow Ball, so they will have to shield this if they want to keep switch. And the fact that the opponent's staying in here was very, very weird, actually. I'm not sure why they decided to do that. In comes Walrein, so maybe they are just sort of weak to Trevenant in the back. We're heading energy, and this is where Trevenant really excels in this matchup. As you can see, they can live that Seed Bomb, you know, pretty comfortably from like a almost full health range. But at this point, we can let this go, and we can just come in and go for the farm down. In comes Wheezing, so this is great. Like, Lantern just basically beats both of their backline, so I want to get a little bit of chip on this thing. I deliberately didn't build up to the Thunderbolt just so I can get the chip damage off, because sometimes people are like, okay, it's only a Starfall, just no shield it. But they need to shield everything here at this point, so that's my thinking behind that. You know, so sometimes, like, you know, not throwing in the best timing is the best play, you know, if you're trying to get the damage off, or if you're trying to get off the move first to force shields. The opponent goes for the Overheat right here, and this is perfect. They've got a lowered attack, and, you know, this Overheat or whatever they throw, it still does a decent amount of damage considering their attack's debuffed. Well, actually, that Brutal Swing done nothing. This will just be the Icicle Spear, but the opponent's not going to reach a move anyway on Wheezing, so we'll just shield it. Doesn't really make a difference either way. And we're up to the back-to-back Surf here, which is perfect. The opponent are on like 10 health or something. They shield up the first one. Like, you just let that go at that point, because, you know, like, I'm on back-to-back, but they do top left after the second one, so GG's to the opponent there. And as you can see, like, this team just absolutely destroys, like, Weezings, Tentacruels, and just a lot of the sort of top meta in this cup. Like, the worst sort of scenario is getting your Lantern lined up with the grass types, but then you sort of have two good answers with Walrein and Trevenant. You know, so there's just a lot of play with this team. I think this one I actually froze straight away, which is not really the play because the opponent will go for the catch here. It is Tentacruel, but at this point, like, the opponent's loaded a Seed Bomb. I've kept that in mind, and I decide I want to load up a little bit extra here. They're most likely going to Acid Spray, so I want them to basically throw off their move. If this is a Sludge Bomb, I was predicting this to be, you know, this is absolutely fine. I would rather them just do a ton of damage to my Lantern, because Trevenant, you know, getting the extra farm down and all that kind of stuff, it's just not great. They go for an Acid Spray here, and the opponent could potentially take Switch if they wanted to here. It would be getting pretty close with me reaching the Thunderbolt, but they do decide to let it go, which I think is wise, honestly. They come in here with probably Trevenant, and... oh wait, was that a Jellicent? Yeah, so this might be the match I'm talking about where I could have got off the Thunderbolt. I seen the Ghost at the top, and I thought it was Trevenant, so I just wanted to throw off the move. We swap and they swap at the same time. I do have to shield this though, and in comes the Seed Bomb. We've got the back-to-back loaded. We'll fire off 2 here, and hopefully we can take out this thing. They do decide to let it go. I mean, I guess, like, what are they really supposed to do here? They've got Jellicent in the back, and we're going to get up to the Earthquake here, so they knew that we had back-to-back, so they probably thought, like, you know, I'm going to have to, you know, shield this and then eat it anyway. But it might have left Jellicent with a slightly better chance, but I don't know, like, I'm not sure if they were reaching back-to-back Shadow Balls here, to be fair. They do reach another move, but it will be just, yeah, it actually is the Shadow Ball, but it's not going to be enough here. I can just farm the whole way down, and GG's to the opponent there. So I made a slight misplay there, but it is what it is. So here's an interesting match. I might play this even slightly differently. I think I no-shielded last time. I might actually shield it this time, just to make sure. Okay, yeah, so I shielded up the first one, and I think that allows me to get off 2 Earthquakes here. So again, like, you can go for the bait, you can go for the Earthquake, sometimes they let it go, sometimes they don't. It's just a coin toss, basically. But I know that I can live a second Power Punch here, and I will definitely be able to get off another Earthquake. And the game freezes. It's just a pain, folks. Like, it really is just pain. So, like, as you can see, like, you know, after going, like, 0 and 8 or whatever, last night, you know, after I got my sets through after midnight, and then today, like, I'm finally doing well, but then the game's disconnecting constantly. It's just a pain. But in comes Broxish. I'm seeing a ton of these today, and in comes Araquanid, so I'm like, this is kind of awkward, actually. Like, of course, with Lantern, this is good, but then, you know, I was thinking this might be a little bit weird, depending on what they have in the back. I call a Bubble Beam, and we can get off another Seed Bomb here. Of course, we're debuffed. I maybe could have committed for the Shadow Ball, but I just wanted to get the damage off on this thing. I might even get to another one. The opponent does get the farm down, so maybe could have just went for the Shadow Ball, but I'm happy enough here. I actually come in with my my Walrein to go for, like, a resisted farm down here, and with the Bubble Beam we're just even getting even more farm, so this is working out okay. We swap straight into our Lantern. The opponent fires off a move here, because the way I'm looking at it is, like, the way they're swapping into that, they must be pretty weak to Lantern in the back. They do have an Abominus now, so I'm glad I preserved the health on the Walrein, and we can just start chipping away at this thing, hopefully getting it close to Icicle Spear range. I think it takes, what, like 3 Icicle Spears to take this out, so if we can get us into 2 Icicle Spear range. They put in baits there, which is a terrible play, honestly. You just don't bait that. We get that next Surf off. Is the opponent going to let us get off another Surf? And is this going to be another Weller Ball? That's the question. Yeah, the opponent's playing badly here. We swap in here. We fire off the Icicle Spear. Definitely, like, there's no reason to bait that. Like, absolutely no reason. You have to choose your bait sometimes, and, like, you know, the Lantern is basically dead weight. Like, I have no reason to shield it, you know what I mean? So you just go for the move at that point. We're just going for the back-to-back here, seeing if we can just wipe this thing out. Yep, so we get off the first one, and the opponent comes in with Broxish. Very nice patience here once again, folks. I don't want this thing to debuff me or do anything funny, and we do take that out. The opponent does get off a move. Will this be the Energy Ball? I decided to, you know, I'm going to just call that they're finally going to throw the move, and they get off another move. Is this the Energy Ball this time? It finally is. It finally is. But we can come in and just go for the Surf because we banked it. So, like, that's where the opponent really messed up. They should have just straight up took out my Lantern, and I wouldn't have had that Surf coming through later. So, you know, calling those baits definitely benefited me, but baiting, you know, really cost the opponent the game, and we went 3 out of 5 in the last one there. I just want to show you guys this little clip at the end. I got a really nice thing off the Team Rocket leader. But here, guys, listen, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much. Drop a like, drop a sub on the channel if you haven't done so already. It's very much appreciated. feel free to join the Discord, and feel free to become a member. We have 0 members currently, so if you do become one, you will be the first ever member on the channel. Amazing stuff here, but have a look here. We actually got ourselves a shiny Murkrow right after this. So I was kind of annoyed, bro. Like, I could have went 4-1 on that set, and it's just so annoying. Like, I maybe could have even won the game and lost as well. Could have been a 5-0. I ended up getting back up to 2200, so like, we just need to have a really consistent set of days here where I can get up to like close to veteran before Great League comes out, and just really hope that I can grind out Great League to make the push towards expert. And you know, I'll just keep trying to improve and trying to reach legend if I can. But that's it for the video, guys. Drop a like, drop a sub, have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll catch you guys tomorrow for a brand new video.